Half of Camila Cabello's heart has left Havana for Ibiza, 'cause she just had a wet and wild makeout sesh with her beau Henry Jr. Chalhoub while visiting the Spanish island. The I Love IT singer and the billionaire heir couldn't keep their hands off each other as they passionately locked lips while taking a dip off the coast of Ibiza. At one point, the lovebirds moved their PDA to a tiny dock, where Camila climbed on top of her by and continued smooching him as he wrapped his hands around her waist. Good thing they wore in and out of the water during their love fest, 'cause they certainly needed it to cool themselves down. The former Fifth Harmony member wore a simple black bikini for their sunny outing, while her better half rocked camouflage printed swim trunks. This isn't the first time we've caught the couple packing on the PDA in public. They were photographed frolicking in the waters of St. Bart's back in January, and they didn't hold back on the kissing there either. But something about this time in Ibiza felt different, more intense, more unrestrained, like they had fully given themselves over to whatever this electric, magnetic pull between them was. The ocean, vast and endless, seemed to mirror the way their connection surged and rippled without warning. They were two people in their own private world, but the rest of us couldn't help but look in. This was no staged photo op. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This was desire made visible. Camila's laughter echoed along the shoreline, bubbling out of her like she was a teenager again, infatuated, uninhibited, and entirely alive. The wind caught strands of her sea-drenched hair, and her sun-kissed skin shimmered beneath the Mediterranean sun. But none of that compared to the fire that danced between her and Henry with every lingering touch and whispered word. The waves may have lapped at their feet, but nothing could cool the fever heat between them. They clung to each other like people who knew time was fleeting, like lovers who had waited too long for this moment and now refused to let it go. When Camila climbed onto Henry on that dock, wrapping herself around him with the kind of reckless abandon that only comes when you trust someone completely, it wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. They weren't just making out. They were affirming something unspoken, something primal, something intoxicating. His hands cradled her waist, not in a show of dominance, but in a gesture of anchoring, of holding her close, grounding her, as if he too feared waking up and finding out it was all a dream. The dock creaked under their shifting weight, but neither of them noticed. The sounds of the beach faded away. Nothing else existed except the warmth of sun and skin, and the relentless, irresistible pull of mouths finding each other again and again. It was the kind of kiss that didn't need music, because the rhythm was already in their hearts. Photographers captured the moment. Of course, how could they not? But even the most high-definition lens can't truly capture that look in Camila's eyes when she gazes at Henry. Why, like he's the only man left on earth. The kind of gaze that turns a casual boyfriend into a muse, a summer fling into something dangerously close to forever. And Henry, normally composed, a man used to the luxury of discretion, looked undone by her, completely and deliciously undone. Even after their steamy dockside kiss, the couple didn't retreat into private shadows. No, they went right back into the water, still clinging, still laughing, still tangled up in each other. It was as though the sea itself had blessed their union, offering its coolness as a gentle contrast to the fire of their touch. They splashed, they swam, they paused just to stare at each other, grinning before closing the distance again and falling into another kiss. It was playful, it was sensual, it was all-consuming, and it made one thing clear. Camila Cabello is in love and she's not hiding it. People might say what they will about celebrities and their relationships, but there's something undeniably refreshing about seeing someone so visibly happy, especially someone like Camila, who's been through the roller coaster of public romance before. She's had her fair share of heartbreak played out on magazine covers and social media comment sections. And yet, here she is, radiant and unfiltered, loving loudly in front of the world once again. There's bravery in that. There's beauty in it to. As for Henry Jr. Chalhoub, his name might not have been splashed across entertainment blogs until recently. But make no mistake, he belongs to a world of wealth, influence, and discretion. Heir to one of the wealthiest business families in the Middle East, Henry isn't just a rich guy with a pretty face. He's a man used to privacy. Someone who usually operates behind the velvet curtain of the ultra-elite. And yet, he too is stepping out into the sun, literally and figuratively, letting his guard down in a way we rarely see from people in his circle. His eyes don't wander. His hands don't hesitate. Everything about the way he interacts with Camila speaks of total and guarded devotion. There's something deliciously ironic about watching the famously private world of billionaires and pop stars collide so publicly. But maybe that's what makes it so intriguing. Maybe that's why we can't look away. Because real love is supposed to be messy, loud, joyful, unpredictable. And in the age of PR-crafted couples and strategic red carpet pairings, Camila and Henry feel like a welcome rebellion. They're the couple that reminds us what it looks like when people simply can't help themselves. And it's not just the kissing. It's the way he touches her face when he thinks no one's looking. The way she brushes her fingers along his shoulder, not to pose, but just to feel him. It's the small things that shout the loudest, the effortless familiarity between them, the shared inside jokes, the way they seem to always lean into each other. Even when they're just walking side by side, their chemistry feels earned, not fabricated. It's not the honeymoon phase of strangers who just met. There's history in their touches, a backstory we may not fully know yet, but can feel in every lingering glance. Maybe it started quietly. Maybe it was a slow burn behind closed doors, before erupting into what we see now. Or maybe, just maybe, this is what happens when the stars align and souls who were meant to find each other finally do. Back in January, their St. Bart's getaway had already ignited rumors. The images from that trip, wet bodies, tangled limbs, stolen kisses, had all the hallmarks of a headline-making romance. But those moments, while intimate, didn't have the same energy as Ibiza. St. Bart's felt like an introduction. Ibiza feels like a declaration, a loud, sunlit scream into the world. We're here, we're in love, and we're not going anywhere. Of course, the setting only amplifies everything. Ibiza, with its hedonistic charm and hypnotic sunsets, has long been a playground for the beautiful, the bold, and the free-spirited. It's the kind of place where inhibitions melt away like ice cubes in sangria, where even the shyest heart starts to beat louder. For Camila and Henry, it was the perfect canvas. The cliffs, the coves, the pulse of the music, and the scent of salt in the air, all of it seemed to fuel them, to wrap around them like a second skin. And as the day wore on, their affection didn't dim. They tailed off, but only to reapply sunscreen to each other's backs, giggling through the process like a couple discovering each other all over again. They lounged under the sun, legs intertwined, whispering secrets that made them burst into laughter. Occasionally, their friends, yes, there were others around, would approach, probably to check in, maybe even to tease, but Camila and Henry were in a bubble, an unbreakable, magnetic, sun-soaked bubble. There's a kind of magic that happens when two people fully surrender to the present moment. No plans, no agenda, just connection. And that's exactly what this day in Ibiza was about. Connection, not just physical, though there was plenty of that, but emotional, energetic, soul-deep. Camila ain't the same girl who once stood nervously beside her bandmates on stage. She's a woman now, fierce, flawed, beautiful, and she's owning every part of her journey. And Henry isn't just the billionaire boyfriend. He's the one holding her hand through it all. The one kissing her in the water like they've got all the time in the world. The one reminding her, and maybe reminding us, that love, when it's real, can't be faked or contained.